The college football experience, Eastern Michigan Eagles 2024 season preview episode. The Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. They just introduced college football best ball, folks. We've been covering it over there, so hop on over there. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
This is Mike Leach, head football coach at Mississippi State, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience, Eastern Michigan Eagles 2024 season preview episode. If you knew the history of Eastern Michigan football, if you knew the history of old Pick Dundee, which I guess I should introduce myself. If you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Yes. Shout out to David Thompson. Google that, YouTube that. Have fun with that video. But I was saying, before I rudely interrupted myself, that if you know a little thing or two about Eastern Michigan, well, they weren't the greatest, but if you know a little thing, for a long time, they weren't the greatest. And if you know anything about old Pick Dundee here, they're my MAC team. A long time ago, probably mid 90s. I think me and my brother, NC Nick, we fell in love with college football in the late 80s, early 90s, but we ended up drafting a team for each conference really, but more so the MAC because I don't know that we did it for every we kind of had it, but for the MAC, we really had our favorite teams because they were doing weeknight games. I remember Wasan Tate at Toledo and these Eastern Michigan teams for a long while there in the 90s were fucking horrible. Absolutely horrible, but that was my team I chose, and a lot of it had to do with their colors. So that's my team. I have a shirt around here somewhere that I wore in the past week or two, but I don't know where the hell it is. It's probably dirty and got to get cleaned. So I should be showing up in my Eastern Michigan gear to get excited. But that is my team. All right, and the MAC, that's my team. I root for EMU. Let's go. And I am a huge fan of Chris Creighton. I think he's one of the more underrated coaches in America. I'm glad he hasn't been stolen away in a way. I'm surprised, to tell you the truth. If you had hired me as athletic director of a university that was about to fire their coach, one of the first guys I would say, specifically Vanderbilt or a place where it's hard to win, Chris Creighton would be on my short list of coaches to call, and even at big time places, because I know he can win there too. But anyway, let's dive into it because I want to talk about Chris Creighton. I think he's fantastic. And one of the things that I find, just to give you an idea of what I was saying, and let me just load up some slides to talk about Chris Creighton, who is 191 and 114. 191 and 114 and 27 years as a head coach, former quarterback at Kenyon, coached at Ottawa, at Wabash and Drake, and had great success there at all those places. They're the only team in the nation that I know that has 3 offensive coordinators and 2 defensive coordinators. This is like some SEC shit back in the day. Just put a bunch of coaches on the staff when there was no requirements. But my point that I was trying to make, let me just open up this to show you the history. Because a lot of you people I feel like are younger than me, and you probably don't remember when they were horrible. Shout out to Cannabis Capper. It's late, but work at the factory never stops. I just want to go through the history here of what I'm talking about. If I can find whatever page I was on. This team didn't win a lot for a long time. And I believe I'm trying to pull this up right now. Here we go. No, why is there not one page where it just shows you all of it? I think I may have found it now. Okay. I just want to rattle through this. All right. I'm just going to take you to let's just go with 1980. Right. Let's just start, even though they had two losing seasons before 1980, let's just say 1980, right around where cable TV was coming out. 1-9 in 80, 0-11 in 81, 1-9-1 in 82, 1-10 in 83, 2-7-2 in 84, 4-7 in 85, 6-5 in 86, and this is like where they hit a little bit of they had like a 3. I remember they played like Fresno in the California Bowl. 10-2 in 87, 6-3-1 in 88, and 7-3-1 in 89. After this, like that 4-year stretch where they won 4 straight winning seasons, which credit to them. But let's be honest, the rest of the 80s were shit. They hit this rough patch: 2-9 in 90, 3-7-1 in 91. 1-10 in 92, 4-7 in 93, 5-6 in 94. Now they did have a 6-5 season. That's their only winning season pre Chris Creighton, since 1990 or 1989. 3-8 in 96, 4-7 in 97, 3-8 in 98, 4-7 in 99, 3-8 in 2000, 2-9 2001, 3-9 again in 02. 3-9 again in 03, 4-7 in 04, 4-7 in 05, 1-11 in 2006, 4-8 in 07, 3-9 in 08, 0-12 in 09, 2-10 in 2010. Now they did have a 6-6 season in 2011, but they didn't make a bowl that year. 2-10 in 2012, 2010. 2013, 2000. Geez, I can't even talk. 2013, 2-10. 2014, 2-10, 2015, 1-11. And then as our president once said,
I think tide turning, as I remember, I was raised in the desert, but tides kind of turn. It's easy to see a tide turn. Did I say those words?
Did I say those words that Chris Creighton's fantastic? And Chris Creighton, to be honest, like his first 2 years, he was part of that. He was 2-10 and 1-11 his first 2 years at Eastern Michigan. But since then, 7-6 bowl game, 5-7 missed out on a bowl game, but they were actually pretty good that year. 7-6 bowl game, 6-7 bowl game, COVID season, 2-4. Okay, what's COVID? Next year, 7-6 bowl game. Next year, 9-4 bowl game. Next year, 6-7 bowl game. They've been to 6 bowl games in 8 years, and one of those years was COVID that they didn't go. Unbelievable. This is a fucking unbelievable coaching job, and no one talks about it except me after a few whiskeys at a bar in Ypsilanti. All right, or wherever, really anywhere. I'll be in fucking Cancun. He was like, "Aren't these fucking Mayan temples fantastic? Did you see what Chris Creighton did last year? Fucking killed it." That guy's an unbelievable coach. I think he's criminally slept on, and they get destroyed in the portal often. Now, it is interesting here Max Crosby, the Las Vegas Raider, unfortunately, should be Oakland Raider, donated a bunch of money to build a field there and get new turf. And I think they're getting rid of the track and at Ryan Nearson at the factory, the stadium there. But also I know Charlie Batch, who's an alum as well. He was part of a collective that tried to get Caleb Williams, believe it or not. Offered him, I think, $3 million for 1 year, and he turned it down or something like that. If that was true, there was a headline. My point is like they're starting to get some traction. Here. I'm encouraged, folks. Look, I want to talk more about all this, but I want to tell you that the college football experience is part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And look, it's football season. Merry football. I walked through the grocery store here in Los Angeles. Say Merry football. They look at me like I'm like another fucking crazy methed out homeless person here in Venice Beach. But I still say it. Merry football. Because it is football season. And that's the merriest of the fucking seasons, if you ask me. Want to let you know that because it's football season, we feel like we should be merry and you should be merry, right? We're going to give you 10% off everything in the merch store with the promo code football. You can get a Pick Dundee t-shirt, an ECU We Believe t-shirt, an old school college, just regular college football experience t-shirt, or college basketball experience, or college baseball, or a sports gambling podcast, or my pal CJ Sullivan, the Bet Detective t-shirt. My point is we have a lot of cool shirts you can check out. Get on over there. Use the promo code football, sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Just click merch store or get the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. So check it out. Back talking EMU football, my favorite, the factory. I will make a trip there at some point. I dig the fact. I love football. I think more than the average human being. I think most people know that. I love the fact they play at the factory there. I think that's great, and I love the fact that they're fixing this thing. You know what I mean? Ryan Nearson Stadium, shit's been around since like the '60s. The Detroit Wheels used to play there in the original World League in the early '70s. Rocky Long, the legendary the creator of the 3-3-5 defense, believe it or not, no one talks about that enough too. He played for the Detroit Wheels when they played there. It's cool. It's a cool stadium. So anyway, 3 offensive coordinators is fucking crazy to me, but they have a like Mike Piatowski or Piatkowski is the passing coordinator. The other ones are the running coordinators. A lot of cooks in the kitchen, but hey, Chris Creighton, I'm not questioning shit. All right. 2 DCs as well. He's done an unbelievable job. And I still think the Hurons was a cool name. They should do to honor that. I still don't understand why we run from that. Shouldn't we honor Native Americans? Am I crazy? I don't know. But anyway, best wins. And this is another testament to Chris Creighton. Short of the UCF win, which did happen when they were in the MAC, but I put it on there because they could still talk shit and say, "Yeah, we beat you when you're in the MAC. You're nothing." The other 4 are all in Chris Creighton's tenure over the past 5 years. Fucking incredible. He's won at Rutgers when they were in the Big Ten. He's won at Purdue when they're in the Big Ten. He's won at Illinois when they're in the Big. I mean, well, obviously they're in the Big Ten, but I'm saying he won at Arizona State. He's the guy who got Herm Edwards fired. I mean, I believe he's a phenomenal coach, and hardly anyone notices. Let's talk about this team. Let's really talk about this team. They're 117th in scoring offense a season ago. That wasn't very good. I'll be honest. Last year's team made a bowl. I actually think it was the worst Creighton team. Like there was a year he was 5-7 and missed a bowl. That team was actually really good. They just lost every game by like a field goal. Like that team was probably, if they played back that season, They're probably like an 8-win team. It was just horrible luck. Last year's team made a bowl. I think it was the worst team they've had in some time, but he still made a bowl, and that's impressive. And the stats kind of reflect how bad they were, in my opinion. 117th in scoring per game, 129th in yards per game. They made a bowl game with the 4th worst offense. It's incredible. 122nd in passing yards, 112th in rushing yards. All of these are in the back half of the MAC. And the only one they were dead last in was yards. They were dead last in the MAC in yards, and they still made a fucking bowl game. They got waxed in the bowl game, though. Like I said, I don't think they were a very good team, but still, to get to a bowl game, to get that, collect that check, move on, build that, continue to build that culture and that rep for, hey, you come here, we go bowl games, we compete in the postseason year after year. Get those extra practices too. They only have 4 returning starters on the offense. JB Mitchell at the receiver spot. I don't even know how to pronounce this. Jere, or is that G? How do I pronounce that? Their tight end is back, and 2 offensive linemen. Mickey Rolinski is back. I love when you do the MAC, you get a Rolinski in almost every team, or a Sandusky, or no, I guess not Sandusky. Always like a Polish name. It's fantastic. Right guard Carson Lee is back. Jesus Gomez is back at the kicker spot. But only 4 starters, so you would think red flags. But if the offense was complete ass last year, I'm not going to panic too much, because you could just do what you did last year and still make a bowl. But let me tell you something. I think the MAC is worse than last year. And when I say worse, I think it's a lot worse than last year. Toledo, who went 11-1 and probably should have went 12-0, they lost their entire offensive line, their quarterback, their running back to the portal and graduation. All of them gone. Ohio lost their whole goddamn team. Gone. Right? Even Miami, Ohio, that returns a lot and is a preseason favorite. They took some hits in the portal. Mo Lindquist, Buffalo left. Pete Lembo comes in, so they're in a transitional phase. Lance Taylor's building up Western Michigan. Central Michigan's starting quarterback, Jace Bauer, heads out to Sam Houston State, leaves them high and dry. My point with all of this is that the conference is a little down this year compared to last year, in my opinion. We'll see. I mean, they could make me look like an idiot. Maybe they rebound, but I think it's down. And meanwhile, in coaching stability, I think will pay off, which is why I kind of think Chris Creighton's in a good spot here. Now they got, and I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat. I know the chat's always by my side here, but we saw Max Crosby donate some money, and we saw Charlie Batch is part of a collective that tried to get Caleb Williams. It failed. But when I look at what they did in the portal, I tend to think I have no one's told me this. I just tend to think that they have money, because they went out and got some guys. Well, first off, they lost Austin Smith, who did start a couple games. He heads out to Austin Peay, the Governors. Cameron McCoy heads out to Jackson State, and he came in from Cincinnati. Running back Jalen Jackson heads out to Iowa State. That's a little bit of a hit. Tight end Andreas Pask, I think passed to Arkansas. Zach Conti to Southern Miss. But a lot of these ones are going to a step down, trying to get some opportunity elsewhere. Can't blame them, right? Look what they brought in. Cole Snyder's Pretzels from Buffalo, who started at Rutgers, he started at Buffalo, and now he's here. I like this get. He started like over 25 games or something in college football. Then they got Drew Viato from Minnesota as well. But here's what I really like. Unfortunately, I hate the pussy pack, but to raid the pussy pack is always a good thing. You know what I mean? Because these guys are looking for better opportunities. They realize Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, I like Raleigh, but just the, NC State's campus, they realize it's not fun. So they head out to Eastern Michigan. Delbert Mims III, Porter Rooks coming in. I will say this about, and I joke, but Dave Doran's program there, I do buy into the culture, and I do buy into that these guys are probably going to be hits in the MAC. They also bring in Tyler Walton from the Ohio Bobcats. They get Zael Griffin from UNLV, who played in the Mountain West Championship a year ago. And they load up on the tight end spot with Hans Bubby, I'm your white knight, Lillis from Boston College. Also Jonathan Odom from Florida. And then Blake Bustard from Wayne State. Jack Story from Hope, Logan Bednard from Harvard. Look, I know the O line's obscure, but to bring in Florida, Boston College, 2 NC State, a UNLV, Minnesota, and Buffalo transfer, I can tell you this: I preview every MAC team. That shit ain't happening to every school, right? So I think they really won the portal on the offensive side of the ball. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. But before we do that, I want to let you know that the College Football Experience Eastern Michigan season preview is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy Pickup gives you a chance to win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter. Or you can play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball. Yes, Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. We did a Best Ball live draft on this very feed. Go check that out. We also dropped a DFS episode today where we covered some of that. So go check those out. You can now use specials and boost on all flex entries. So sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back. So I'm making my case that I think they might have a little bit more money, or they're getting some guys that I feel like other schools aren't getting right now. In the MAC, maybe I'm full of shit. We'll see. But 67. This is the defense was clearly the best unit. 67th in the nation in scoring per game, which was in the top half of the MAC. 92nd in yards, 46th in pass defense. See, respectable pass defense, even though it was 9th in the MAC. The MAC had some good defenses a season ago. The rush defense was shitty though. 119th, second to last in the MAC. They got to improve that. They do return 5 starters on the defensive side of the ball. Two in the defensive line. Joey Zielinski. See, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Zielinski. It's fucking Tommy Boy. Zielinski. What's the phrase again? I make wins for Eastern Michigan University because that's who I am and that's who I care about. I'm Joey Zielinski, playing defensive end for Eastern Michigan. Come out to the fucking factory this year and watch us dominate Maction. I'll take a guaranteed piece of shit. What is? I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass. But you know what I'm talking about, Tommy Boy, where he says like, I could take a shit in a box, label it guaranteed. Joey Zielinski, make a little coin in the pocket by being the asshole. Something like that. Horrible impersonation. Peyton Price back at the defensive tackle spot. They also bring back linebacker Justin Jefferson. And 2 in the secondary, Daquan White, Quintavious Scandritt. And pitcher. Jesus Christ. Punter, Mitchell Tomasak. It's another one. There. I make car parts for the American man because that's who I care about and that's who I am. Get yourself out to the factory this year. We're going to dominate. Max Crosby's donating money. Use it to wax down your marbles. Some shit like that. Blame it on me. Dan Aykroyd's a fucking genius. You ever had Dan Aykroyd's vodka? Dan Aykroyd's vodka is pretty good. It's got like a big, it looks like it's like out of Indiana Jones. Like a big ass skull. Highly recommend checking out. Dan Aykroyd's actually an interesting dude. He's like big UFO believer, big alien believer, and I kind of am too. He's convinced me. He sold me. And now that the U.S. Navy and Army, what am I talking about? Anyway, 5 starters back on the defensive side of the ball, and your punters back. They lost some guys. Micah Coleman going to Cincinnati. Alex Merritt going to Texas State. Those are hits. The big one here is Kempton Shine going to Virginia. He's a dog. Also, Josh McCarty to Pitt. This is what I mean. They do get rated a little bit. So clearly they don't have that much money, but lost about 4 guys of quality guys from a season ago. But they kind of replenish them. They go out to Arizona State and bring in a defensive lineman. Also, Jefferson Adam from Iowa State. I like how they go to the deep ranks of Indianapolis University for Dylan Shelton for the linebacker spot. Also, JT Killen from Coastal Carolina. I mean, I think they kind of lost the portal on the defensive side of the ball, but I still think they brought in like a better class than most MAC schools, if that makes sense. maybe I'm full of shit, but I just feel like they did. As far as like from Power 5 teams, I think they brought in more. It doesn't always mean wins though. It's just intriguing to me. But I'm gonna say they lost the portal on the defensive side of the ball. You can't take hits. Some of those hits are gigantic. The corner that went to Virginia was a beast. I don't know. So let's check out this win total. 4.5. Don't insult me. Don't fucking insult me. Chris Creighton hasn't had a 4-win season since his first 2 years. Well, I mean, COVID, they only played like 4 games. So you throw that year out. But you look at what they've done. This is insulting. This is an insulting line. The guy, okay, he had to build up Eastern Michigan. So his first 2 years, 2-10 and 1-11 in his first 2 years. But if you look at his whole damn career, 24 years of coaching, 24 years of coaching college football. Those 2 years building up Eastern Michigan were the only 2 losing seasons. Well, he said, well, if you throw out the COVID, he's only had 3 losing seasons ever. If you throw out COVID, and one of those was a 5-7 team that was really good. Actually, they should have went 8-5 or something. But this is blindly. I'm like, this is a slam dunk. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. This is a slam dunk. I don't even think it's that crazy to take that plus 3,000 on the MAC championship just because the league is down. Someone's got to win these games. I'll trust coaching continuity. I'm gonna go game by game on the schedule here. But before I do that, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. And you can get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Get on over there. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. Look, the Rhythm model loved Delaware State plus 40. I did too. So we cashed in on that. Build your own model and get ready for week 1 college football, folks. Once again, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right. Yeah. I mean, my first thought is get the fuck out of here with this 4.5. All right. And they open up at UMass. I had a hard time with this game. I took UMass, but I have no fucking feel on this. I have no, this is a field goal game. I kind of think Don Brown's building UMass quietly to a better program. And I think next year, Don Brown's team will make a bowl game. This year, I think they'll still be sputtering, but they look more athletic. When you watch them, they're more physical and athletic than they've been in a long fucking time. That's a very winnable game for Eastern Michigan. I think week 2 is winnable. Call me crazy. I showed you the sheet. Chris Creighton's beaten 5 Power 5 schools? Got Herm Edwards fired. Washington was calling up Idaho State looking for offensive linemen. I don't know about Washington this year. Obviously, we have to favor Washington, especially if it's a cross country trip in Seattle. That stadium gets lit too. But I think it's a winnable game. You're looking for a crazy dog for week 2. Of course, we should watch week 1 before I really say this. But it could happen. It could happen. You got a quarterback that's starting 26 games, I think, 20, something like that. Now, I mean, he's not amazing, but he's serviceable, right? I can't wait to watch these games, man. Let's just say 1-1. 1-1. They're home to Jacksonville State and Rich Rodriguez, who's replacing a lot. Now, I took Jacksonville State to win because that fucking speed, that speed that Jacksonville State has, Eastern Michigan struggles with that. So I'll say loss there. So 1-2 after 3. St. Francis, the Red Flash come to town, who, watch out, they did play. Who was that? Akron 2 years ago, really tough. Took them to overtime. But I think Eastern Michigan will beat St. Francis. It's a second win. They go to Kent State. Week 5 there, September 28th. I got them beating Kent State. I got them 3-2. at the first bye week. The win total's 4.5, folks. They come out of the bye week, and what a great bye week, because they're home to Miami, Ohio, who won the MAC last year. That's when you want to get the bye week. Obviously, I got to favor Miami, Ohio, but I think wouldn't shock me. I mean, this game. What was this game a year ago? This was like a fucking. I don't think this was a blowout a year ago. It's like a 13 point. No, they didn't play a year ago, did they? They didn't play. Okay. I mean, this team's in every goddamn game. That's another thing about Chris Creighton. Even your losses, for the most part, like during his tenure, it's always like a 1-score game for the most part. Last season was the worst they were in a while, but still 7-point loss to Northern Illinois, 3-point loss to Central Michigan. They're in those games. I'll say they lose to Miami, Ohio, but I love getting them at home. But give me them to get Central then. 2 home games there. They go 1-1. That's boom. That's your 4th win right there. And then they head to Akron. Why should I take Akron over Eastern Michigan? What did they play last year? That's a double overtime game. This is what I mean. Creighton lives by he's like Kirk Ferentz in that regard. Like every game's a fucking 3-point game in the MAC. I still think they're better than Akron, but it wouldn't shock me if they lost. They're also home to Toledo on November 2nd. All you need is one more win at this point, whether it's Akron. So after home to Toledo, they get a bye week. Then they're at Ohio. Ohio lost everybody. Then they're home to Buffalo, and then they're at Western Michigan, who everyone's high on. But they're gonna beat Buffalo or Akron. You beat Buffalo and Akron. That's what, 6 wins. You're bowling, and they're good for an upset. Most Creighton teams upset teams. Like I know last year's, like I said, wasn't that great, but you go back to the year before, they won 9 games. One at Arizona State. They beat the shit out of Western Michigan. Look, the year they lost 9 games, or I'm sorry, the year they won 9 games, they lost to Toledo by 3, who won the MAC that year. That's what I'm saying. They're in the mix for all these games. This team is going over. This is a fucking lock. This is a lock. Who I don't even know for sure that they have like a full on 100%, like a game that's 100% a loss. I tend to think, Washington and Jacksonville State are like in that mix, but let's talk about this road schedule. This is why you should lock this. This road schedule, Kent State, what did they do last year? 1-11. I'm talking road schedule in conference, by the way. Kent State 1-11. Oh, Akron, what did they win? 2-10? Oh, Ohio. Okay, they won 10 games, but their whole goddamn team's gone. Western Michigan 4-8. I mean, need I say more? It's a great schedule. The over's hitting. They're going to a fucking bowl game. I guarantee you they go to a bowl game. Wouldn't shock me. And I'm looking forward to watching that UMass game this weekend, because I could totally see that. And let's be honest. Plus 3,000 to win the MAC championship. Let's just walk through this with me. Yes, they get Miami, Ohio. Yes, they get Toledo. Yes, they get Ohio. If we had to power rank, let's just use the odds to win the championship in the MAC right now. Miami, Ohio is the odds on favorite to win the MAC. Toledo 2, Bowling Green 3, Western Michigan 4, right? Northern Illinois is 5. They don't get Bowling Green. Right? They get Toledo and Miami, Ohio, and Western Michigan. Guess what though? Miami, Ohio, and Toledo come into the factory. I mean, every game in the MAC is like a 3-point game. So they could clip those teams. I'm not just going to automatically say that, they'll dominate them. No, they're going to get one of them. I guarantee they're going to get either Miami, Ohio, Toledo, or Western Michigan. This team's going to go to a bowl. Write it. All right, folks. And let's, if you really think about that, if you clip Toledo or Miami, Ohio at home, you're going to be in contention for a MAC championship, but you need to not slip up, because it is the wacky MAC. I actually kind of like the schedule. The fact you get Buffalo, Akron, and Kent State. It's worth a sprinkle. It's worth a sprinkle. I'm on the over. I think that's the best play you can do though right now, because I don't know. I mean, it's a nice it's a favorable schedule though. Your road games are shit. Can't wait to watch the UMass game. This is why you pay close attention to the UMass game. That shit's gonna matter. Yeah. Load up. Give me that over. And way over. If you can find a 5 where the odds are even better, take the over on that. Folks, that's our show. See that? 35 minutes of action. Should I do one more, chat? Do you guys want to do one more? Because I have one more, and it's a team called New Mexico State. Do you want to do one more tonight? I think we should do one more. Let's do one more. Give me 10 minutes. I'll start the page. New Mexico State next. But folks, we're breaking down all 134 teams in college football. Subscribe to the College Football Experience, youtube.com/the college experience. Give us a follow. It's the home to all of our stuff, the college basketball experience, college baseball experience, FCS college football experience. All of those come together as one, youtube.com/the college experience. Also subscribe to or follow us on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. I'm on Twitter at TheColBD. Also, check out the Stadium Heads podcast. We talk about the history of college football stadiums. We love Rynearson Stadium. They're the factory. We love Max Crosby giving money back to the football program to build this thing. I think it's fantastic. So that's how the engine should run. You know what I mean? That's how it should run. Yeah. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. Give me a follow on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Till next time, which will be in about 10 minutes. This is the College Football Experience, Eastern Michigan Eagle style. Fly. Cash that over. Chris Creighton's going bowling. Don't insult me. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here. Run and shoot.